Hello everybody, I'm Catherine, and when it comes to Google AdWords, then my role at Framework Digital is to prepare the content for Google Ads and landing pages. So thank you very much for joining us today. You may come as complete beginners to Google AdWords, or you may have had some prior experience of using it and be looking at how to improve that for your business. What we hope to achieve today is to improve your understanding of why Google AdWords could be good for your business, some things that you need to consider before you put together a campaign, the different Google Ads options, and why it can be valuable to engage a Google AdWords specialist to help you make the most of this opportunity. We hope that the outcome of this will be that you can make informed choices about whether this is a viable marketing option for your business. As Maxine said, we'll take some questions at the end, but equally we'll provide our contact details. So if you have questions that we don't get around to answering today, or that you want to ask sort of on an individual basis, then we're happy to follow up this session with that. Okay. So what we're going to cover in today's workshop is going to be divided into 3 sections. To start with, I'm going to be talking about traditional advertising and digital advertising, Google Ads and SEO, and what are Google Ads. And then I'm going to hand over to Thomas, who's going to talk through the different campaigns and what you need to get ready, how it all works. We're going to share a local case study and explain the role that we take when we undertake Google Ads management for other businesses. So hopefully that's what you were expecting. Okay, so let's start with a bit of background information. When it comes to marketing, there's a variety of different options. There's traditional style marketing, such as newspaper ads, magazines. It might be graphics on the side of a vehicle, radio and television advertising, getting out there and networking and meeting other people locally. Alongside that, there's the option of digital marketing, which is becoming, essential for lots of businesses. That's through your website, email marketing, social media, and online advertising. They're not mutually exclusive. Most people will use a combination of both traditional and digital media, but there are advantages and disadvantages to both. And what we're going to be looking for through today is some of the challenges of traditional marketing techniques and how they are overcome by digital. So when you're using traditional advertising options, it's really about maximizing your reach. It's sort of blasting out your message to reach as many people as possible, in the hope that some of those people will be looking for what your company is offering at that time. Unfortunately, the individual personalization of that is limited, and therefore your interaction with the audience is limited. If people hear your advert, it's just one message. There's no opportunity for them to ask questions, come back, find out a little bit more about what you do. A lot of these advertising techniques have a huge cost implication, and once you've paid that money, it's very difficult to change what you're doing. So you've got to be really sure that the same message is going to be viable and relevant for the long term. And the conversion rates are typically quite low because you're just blasting out a message to the masses, and actually only a very small percentage of those people are likely to be in the position to want exactly what you're offering at that particular moment in time. And because it's a long-term strategy, it's quite difficult to measure your return on investment. So you don't really know how successful that advertising has been. In addition, that advertising is about interrupting people. So you might be happily listening to your favorite tunes on the radio, and suddenly an advert pops up. Even if it's a bit relevant to something you've been thinking about, it's actually quite irritating. Equally, if you're reading a newspaper or a magazine article, and then the advert is there interrupting what you're actually trying to look at. So there's lots of drawbacks to traditional advertising, and the main one is the fact that now most people are looking online. They're searching online for information. No one goes to Yellow Pages anymore. They're out there on their computers, on their phones, looking for information, and that's where they hope to find it. So when we look at digital marketing, and particularly Google, because that's the default search engine for everybody to use, there are two different options that we have. Search engine optimization. This is the organic way of being found online, and pay-per-click, which is what we're going to be talking about today, which includes Google AdWords. Again, they're not mutually exclusive. You're definitely going to need to do SEO, and pay-per-click is a secondary option to back that up. So search engine optimization is all about increasing the value of your website pages. So it's helping Google to find a perfect match for people's search. So whenever we type in a search, we expect Google within seconds to present us with good quality, relevant, and helpful list of search results. And in order to do that, Google has created an algorithm, and good web pages will help to tick the boxes of that algorithm and gradually will move up the search listings. It is really good practice, but it is a long-term strategy. This isn't something that can be achieved in an instant, especially for small businesses, because obviously online it's a highly competitive market. There's lots of long-established big businesses there with huge marketing budgets, and to compete with them takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and probably quite a bit of money as well. So you're looking at making sure that your website is a quality product in the first place, and remains a quality product with adding new content, fresh content, good links, and building up your reputation as a business. And that is not something that can be done quickly. So it's a long-term strategy, and that works really well, and it's very good practice, and every business should be doing it. But if you want quick results, you need a different option. Missed one, sorry. Go back a slide. Okay, so if you look at the search criteria when you have made a search for something, what you will notice is that the search engine optimized organic results are very limited on the page. We've split one scrolling page into two here, so you can see, but the first listings, are all paid adverts. And following that, you usually have a Google map, which is also including paid ads. Then there's 4 or 5 search engine optimized natural listings, and they would tend to be from the large companies with big budgets. And then at the bottom of the page, you've got further ads. So to reach the first page of Google is extremely difficult, because of all of the thousands, millions of companies who are offering the same products and services that you are, there are only 4 or 5 slots in which you can promote your business, unless you are paying for a paid slot. So Google Ads are a platform for advertising and getting your business onto the top pages of Google. It's determined by a really clear understanding of what problem your prospects have, and it needs to be really specific. It's not general in the same way that traditional marketing, you've got a general message, it's going out to the masses. With digital marketing, it's very much about having a very clear target audience and really pinpointing a very specific problem that audience has, and that understanding what terms those searchers are going to be looking for when they access Google, and responding with a very specific solution. So instead of advertising a web design company, you might be looking at very specific requirements that people have, like how to set up a Google AdWords campaign. And So when you're doing Google Ads, it's not about reaching the masses, it's the complete opposite. What you're really trying to do is to target a very small number of people who are really needing a specific service that you offer. Unlike traditional marketing, Google Ads are highly targeted. So the more that you can pinpoint, for a start, the less budget you're going to be spending to convert people. And the way, if you set up the adverts correctly, is only when people make that very specific search that your adverts will be shown. If you've got a long process in terms of convincing people, then the sort of long tail phrases that people might be searching for later in the stage of when they've filtered out the options can really tick the boxes where it comes to Google Ads targeting. The next thing is that unlike traditional marketing, it's very flexible. It isn't a fixed campaign that you have to stick with for the next year. You can maybe switch a campaign on when maybe you haven't got many sales, or when it's a particularly, it's a peak time within the season. And you can turn them off again if you start getting enough business in, enough that you can cope with, or if you find that your budget is spent better with a different campaign. So it's very flexible. You can adjust it all the way along, and that means that you can, understanding the patterns in your business means that you can use the advertising at points where you know it's going to have maximum impact. Equally, it's flexible because you can turn your ads campaign on only at certain points in the day. So you might be aware that most of your inquiries come in sort of the afternoon, mid-afternoon. So you may decide that your campaign doesn't actually go live until 2:30 or 3 o'clock and switches off again at 6 p.m. So there's much greater flexibility and when adverts are promoted and seen. The other thing that you don't get from traditional marketing is that Google Ads is very insightful. There's data available all the time. It keeps records. You can see what's working. You can use that data then to inform your decisions, such as whether to switch off a campaign or to put more budget into a campaign because it's actually generating the results you were hoping for. Again, measurable, the budget can be optimized, and the quality of ads is also scrutinized. So you can really understand what's working in terms of what Google is looking for, and tailor your adverts to improve the quality and improve the response. Key to Google Ads is it's instant. It's the only way in which you can have half a chance of getting on the first page of Google. Again, as going back to those listings, the first half a page is all taken up with paid advertising. The lower half of the page is taken up with paid advertising. So you've got a lot more slots, a lot more opportunities to achieve a first page listing with Google AdWords than you would with SEO. And it's predictable. If you're particularly working with an experienced web Google Ads company, then they're going to know what works, what doesn't work, and they can help you to decide how to spend your budget effectively and the sorts of results that you can expect to get. So those are some of the advantages of why other businesses are using Google Ads to promote their services. So just to recap, we're not saying that Google Ads is an alternative to SEO. SEO is vital. It's really good practice for any digital marketing, but it is a slow process. It takes a lot of work and effort to make yourself seen. In contrast, Google Ads gives you immediate results and predictable outcomes. If you're trying to fill an event, if you're trying to launch a new product, if you're doing anything that needs an instant result, then Google AdWords is the best digital marketing option that is available. Before you embark on a pay-per-click campaign, there are a few questions that you need to really consider. First of all, what are you going to promote? As we've said, being really specific is the best approach. It will help you to target your campaign and to pay for and get results for, you know, converting people and getting a return on your investment. So as well as thinking what you're going to promote, you need to understand why people want that. What problems are they facing that you're going to be able to solve by offering this service? And what sort of terms are they going to be using to search for that criteria so that you can include those in your adverts? You need to really understand who you're targeting, the demographics, the language that they use, the key things that convince them that you are somebody to do business with. It might be tying into their particular values, tying into particular standards or credentials that they need to meet, regulations that their business needs to achieve, and as a supplier, you can help them to do that. With a campaign, there are different goals. Thomas will talk about that a little bit more depth as we go forward. But again, really understanding what you want to achieve out of doing this campaign helps you to understand whether it's a success. We're going to say the estimated budget. Now, you may be thinking, well, if I tell a web design company, a Google Ads company, what my budget is, then they're going to come back with a quote that fits that. But really understanding your estimated budget isn't about that. It's about knowing how best to spend the money in what areas. So if the Google Ads specialist knows what your budget is, then they can advise on how that money can best be spent to achieve the goals that you are hoping to realise. And the final point that people often don't consider is how are you going to facilitate the inquiries? So, you know, have you got enough people to answer the phone or to respond to email requirements? Is your store capable of a sudden peak in orders? So as well as thinking about the actual advertising campaign, you need to think about the landing page. So where that campaign is directing people to on your website, is it relevant? We don't want to be sending people to a home page where they've then got to search through it to find what they were looking for. The landing page has to directly relate to the advert. You've got to make it as convenient as possible for people to see what they were searching for. They've clicked on the ad and there is the answer to their problem. And also, once people have been converted by the landing page and they decide to take action, can your business properly facilitate hopefully a big rise in interest? So going through again, why Google Ads? You get fast, measurable results, and that's the only way in which this is really achievable. You have control over your budget and how it's spent, and if at any time your adverts get enough clicks that they've used up your budget, your adverts simply won't show anymore, so there's no risk of going over budget. And equally, you can decide, well, if one campaign isn't so successful, you can shift your budget to another campaign that is working and maximize your returns. It's really highly targeted. So if you've got a very clear audience in mind and you've got a very clear service that can solve their problems, this is the way to hit those people with your solution. Again, you only pay when people click. So if you don't get very much interaction, you're not paying over the odds for those interactions. And finally, it's the one option for getting you quickly to the first page of Google, so you can be found amongst the giants, amongst the leading companies, the established businesses, and start making your brand known and getting your products sold. So I'm just going to say that these kind of key factors are really important in putting together your campaign. Your advert has got a maximum of 300 characters, so you've got to be really honed in on your message, and your landing page has got to really speak to those people and convert them once they have clicked. So a really clear understanding of that target audience is vital for getting the most out of your Google Ads. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Thomas, who's going to explain a lot more about how Google Ads actually works. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Catherine. Well, I hope that this part one, I'm sure that many of you do have a good understanding of what the SEO means and what the pay-per-click also is about. But at the same time, we cannot assume that everyone is on this level. So before we will go to the part one, sorry, the second part, we wanted to assure that pretty much everyone is in this kind of a mindset that we're talking about those abbreviations in a way that everyone can understand. So this first slide, I've put this first slide here because I wanted to start with I wanted to reassure you that actually we are in position to give advice on that topic. We've, as a company, we've made a considerable effort over many years to get the accreditations which Google requires for running campaigns, and eventually we become a Google partner. So this is not about me boasting, it's definitely more about simply reassuring you that the advice we are offering here is of the quality. Right, in this second part, I'm going to talk about the types of Google AdWords campaigns. We are not going to talk about everything. We are going to concentrate only on those most popular campaigns. I'm going to also give an overview about the process of setting up campaigns. So this is for those of you who might be hoping to kind of maybe just learn how to do it yourself, because Google actually offers quite a lot of help. So I'm sure that quite a few, I'm sure that many of you did have a try to use Google Ads campaign by yourself. So I'm going to run through this process quickly. Of course, if this process would be very simple, then there would be a need for hiring experts, and also within the limited time, I can't go through absolutely every single option, but at least I hope that you will see a couple of steps that needs to be taken to set up campaign. The next point is I've got a case study. It's a local company. I hope that is going to be relevant. How a local company managed to find the place in the busy market and trying to get the presence even in this situation when they are facing national and international companies. So that's the case study. The next point is about pricing. Well, we all are going to talk about how to use this tool for business. So of course the pricing is, I think, this kind of a dimension that we cannot skip. Managing and measuring, again, if someone puts money on a table, of course you are going to expect a certain results. Fortunately, with Google Ads, those results can be measured. And I'm going to talk about what we as a company and any other company which is running Google Ads is doing to earn the money, but at the same time, how you as a client can measure the success. Well, there was more kinds of Google AdWords campaigns than you can see on this page. On this page, we are concentrating only on two most popular. Google search. I'm sure that everyone at some point, even if you're using maybe different browsers and different search engines, but yet still, I think is not unreasonable to assume that everyone came across Google search campaigns. Those are those texts which are displayed on the top of the page and the bottom of the page with those ads which Catherine showed an example of. Those campaigns works mainly around the text, so you've got a very limited number of characters to convince people that you are the company to go and that you are oh, sorry, we've lost the presentation. I think, could you help us, please? Sorry about that. When we are waiting for this, if I may, at some point I've noticed that few people raise their hands. I'm really sorry that we are not responding right away. When we are running the same programs here in our office or in High Wycombe, we are very much welcome any kind of interruptions. But it's so much easier to work with people in the same room, and it's so much more difficult to interact over the internet. So I will answer those questions. We will make an effort to answer those questions. So please do type in the questions, then we will go through those questions and as many questions as we can. We will address directly. Right, so going back to types of Google Ads campaigns. So the search based on text, those ads are displaying small messages that are set to convert people, that's you are the company, to go to those ads are also displaying, could possibly display telephone numbers. Those ads are mainly set around someone types in Google search a certain words, and those words are triggering ads to appear. Those ads can be restricted with a certain geographical area, which means that actually you can narrow down who is going to see your ads. You can be very precise with that. You can literally present your ads to just one postcode, if you wish. The second kind of Google Ads campaigns are display. I will show you examples in a second, so that might be a little bit easier to understand and kind of make a connection. But I think, and I know from my experience, that actually display campaigns are underestimated because they are relatively cheap, simply speaking, and they are not so directly converting people as Google search text-based campaigns, but the Google display campaigns are having a little bit of visual elements, and those visual elements help with raising brand awareness. Some people might argue that raising brand awareness doesn't necessarily convert people. It is a long way. Yes, it is, but at the same time, if someone have seen your logo, your company name before, it's going to be much easier to make a decision about picking up a phone and ringing you when they see your ad second time. There is one more thing in Google Ads campaigns which I cannot miss, is remarketing. That's the situation when, let's say, one evening you are browsing for running shoes, and the next morning you are on Facebook or you are reading news, checking out the sports results, and you see running shoes everywhere. So this is this kind of a system which is allowing Google to track what you or any other user of and any other person is done a day before to kind of track your interest and then display ads accordingly to that interest. Funny enough, those ads might be from the website that you've seen the night before, but also those ads might be from competitors who are simply putting the ads only for people who express the interest in the running shoes. So I will go with a few more details in a minute. So this is not the last time I'm mentioning the types of campaigns and how they can be used. So this slide shows examples. So on the left-hand side, you've got the word search-based ads. Someone looks for, on this particular example, website design in Aylesbury, and you can see links to companies which are on the Google Ads program advertising for this kind of keywords. On the right-hand side, you see Google display examples. You've got the small graphic elements, and you can add a second graphic elements, which could be your logo, and a very short message. So Google display campaigns being...
Sorry, Thomas, I'm not sure what's going on. It appears that people might be able to take control. I don't know what's happened there.
Right.
If there is that option on your screen, would you mind everybody not taking control, just so Thomas can go through his slides? We will share the slides after the presentation, so you will have the slides that you can then go through. But if you could, sorry, Thomas, if you want to take control there, and you can pick up from
no problem
where you are. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
No, that's okay. Thank you for your help, Maxine. Right. So just a quick thing about those popular ads, the Google search ads. As you can see here in this example, those three ads are slightly different. They've got a slightly different content. So each ad has got the title, that's this purple element here, a link to web page, 90 characters of a description. Unfortunately, only 90 characters. It might look slightly different, and it will look different on the different devices. So on the devices with a smaller screen, you see only one line of the text. On the devices with a large screen, and in certain circumstances, you might see more of those descriptions. So the ads vary. However, within this kind of a variations, yet still you've got a couple of options. So for example, you can add to your ads links to sub pages. So let's say you might have a link to the particular product page here, but also to a page, the general contact page, or showing a portfolio, or just simply straight from the ad link to the inquiry page. You might have also within the ads your company address and telephone number, and even opening hours. Again, telephone number, if someone is on the mobile phone, would be featured in a much prominent size, and simply can be used as the telephone number can be used to make a phone call straight from the ad. So some other ads are very basic. So you've got literally just those three basic elements, like this one: title, link, and a brief description. Right. So I think this is possibly one of the most important slides. It's not very impressive, but it's important when it comes to what you can take from this presentation. Because I think the success of Google Ads is in preparation. Catherine mentioned before, so I hope I'm not repeating, but I'm kind of making sure that everyone is taking it as a kind of a mindset before you will go to before you will start spending money. Just make sure that you're getting ready by defining exactly, or as much as you can, what are you going to sell? What is your product, service, on many other occasions what problem you are solving. That is really crucial, because going wider, it very unlikely is going to be a good strategy. Going narrower and narrower, that's exactly what we need to do to have a successful campaign. If I may, just a brief example. Let's say there was a company which is offering accountancy as a service. It is a very, very broad a topic. But just you can possibly imagine that someone, let's say, might have a little bit of problem, and that's the kind of a starting point. That is why I'm opening up my laptop, because I've got a problem. I need to find an accountant who is going to help me with a certain thing. So this person is in this kind of a mindset, right? I've got this letter from the brown envelope, and the message there is telling me that I'm in a little bit of pickle. I need a professional help. So on that occasion, this person is not going to look for a very broad accountancy service. Very likely this person is going to look for, well, help with a certain tax problem. And if you can identify those moments, this is the kind of a win or not of the campaign. So if you can identify those kind of a situation and build a campaign around it, that's the way to do it. So narrow down to particular service or even particular situation, if that is only possible. USP, unique selling point. Again, very likely there are going to be ads already which are offering very similar services that you are trying to add. So how to make sure that people are picking you, not someone else. I'm sure that on the certain situations and with certain companies, it might be easier. With some other companies, it might be a bit more difficult to find unique selling point. But because it's difficult, it doesn't mean that we can skip that. Please do not. And anyone, I'm absolutely sure that every company has got some unique selling points. And this is the question of finding those unique selling points, identifying it, and then converting into this very short 90 characters long message to present this unique selling point. Well, it could be that you are in business for 20 years, and it could be that you've served clients in this area and you've got a wonderful testimonials. So all those things can be used as a unique selling point that supports this message is going to support your advertising efforts. Of course, the audience, you need to describe where and who. It could be, as I said, let's say England, or it could be one particular country in Europe. It could be one city. It could be one postcode. That's just when it comes to where. Who you can you can divide this audience into a very small pockets. I don't want to go into more details in that, because this is the kind of a job that very often is we are assessing situation on a kind of a case-to-case situation. So it's quite hard to make kind of a general comments about how to describe the audience. Estimate your budget. Again, Catherine said that actually the estimated budget is a quite a good idea to have something in mind, because this is simply like, if you would like to think about it, this campaign is going to be more or less like a salesperson working for your business. If you will employ someone who is going to sell something for your company, obviously you will put some kind of a figures, how much per year, per month this is going to cost me, this activity of selling actively my services. So this is this kind of like a budget we're talking about. And starting with a certain budget we can help to identify what is possible, what is available. Hello?
Yeah, it's fine.
Maxine, is everything okay?
Yeah, should be good, Thomas.
Right.
Have
Sorry.
you got control?
Yeah.
I believe I do have a control. Sorry, that was a quick, sudden glitch. Right, I will move on faster. We need to have an idea about the margins. You know, how much would you pay for one lead? How much? What is the value of a new client for you? So having those figures in mind, again, is a good start. And the KPI, how are you going to say the campaign was successful, or no, we need to stop it because this is not successful? KPI is a key performance indicator, and that can be very simple. We need 4 phone calls per week. That's the minimum, or 4 inquiries per week. So that is the kind of a way which is going to be reviewed the whole campaign over the course of a month or a quarter or a year. As you see now on the previous slide, there's kind of a getting ready is not much different to kind of a getting ready for any other marketing campaign. You need to establish those things for not only for the Google Ads campaign, but for any other marketing activities. Right, so next 5 slides are about how to set up a campaign. So the screenshots you see, those are from Google Ads. You can set up yourself an account, or account manager like me, I can do it for you. You've got your own account. You've got our clients, they do have access, so you can see at any point how much money has been spent. Well, we definitely, as a company, we are absolutely transparent. So for me, this is never a problem to let customer to see. However, if you decide that you're doing it yourself, this is one of the first screens which you will see when you are setting up new campaign. Set up objectives. Very simple thing. Sales. Do you want to sell something? Do you have a website which has got e-commerce? The purchases can be made online. Then start with a sales campaign, leads campaign. This is, I would say, possibly for us most popular option, because people want to simply get inquiries from the website. And website traffic, that might be like, you know, as many people as possible going through our website. That would be one of this brand awareness campaigns. So the first screen is simply just setting our objectives for your campaign. The second screen, the second screen is something what I'm very excited about, but I really need to kind of make sure that I will not start talking about one particular aspect for too long, because this is possibly the biggest, again, the biggest kind of a chapter in setting up new campaign. You need to set up keywords, which means what is going to trigger your ad to appear, which words are going to trigger your ad to appear. Locations, I think that's relatively simple. You simply just need to say geographically where you want your ads to appear. There is a couple of other options how you can describe your audience. You can describe even your audience, like, for example, display my ads only to people who are browsing from desktop computers. That could be an option. Or on the other spectrum, display my ads, or display more of my ads to people who are browsing my website from mobile phones. Display my ads to people who are over 40 years old, and so on. Landing pages. That is standalone quite big topic. What is happening when someone click on the ad? Because this is when you're paying money and the system charges you money. visitor goes to your website. So as you can imagine, after you being charged for that visit, the next step is absolutely crucial, because then there is literally just a couple of seconds for people to decide, do I stay or should I go, so to speak. Time of a day, you can describe, you can set up your ads to be displayed only in a certain time of a day. Bidding strategy, again, this is standalone quite big topic, because here you can simply just set up the system to always, let's say, go over whatever your competitors are doing. Because let's say you've got money, you want to make an impact in the next 3 months, and you almost don't care about how much this is going to cost you. You always want to be on the first page. So there is a method of setting AdWords campaign. So there will almost, of course, within a reason, because yet still you can set up the top spend, how much you want to pay to be on this top position on the first page. I would say, in average, it takes me about an hour if the campaign is relatively simple. Well, if the campaign is simple, it takes me 1 hour to go through all those settings and to have some kind of a cohesive setting. I, of course, need to know the company quite well. I need to know all those things which we are learning before we will even start setting up any campaigns. So based in general knowledge about your company, about your objectives, I can use some of those tools in a certain way. On some other occasions, those settings are less relevant. On some other occasions, they are absolutely crucial. Well, the next thing is, this is where when Catherine is helping me so much, and I definitely need a help with converting those messages into something what is extremely short. You've got literally just the 45 characters to type a title, 90 characters to type the body. Here you are setting up the links. You can add those side links, those kind of additional links to another areas on your website, telephone numbers, and so on. So composing ad is a kind of a standalone exercise, and what I'm going to show you on the next slide, yeah, that's the one. Not only one ad needs to be set. So the ads are the grouped, the campaigns, the campaign is kind of has got one big settings above. Then the campaign is made out of groups, and then within those groups we've got ads. So it's a kind of a tier system. Each of those ads, well, we take it as a rule of thumb. We need to have at least three iterations of almost the same or similar messages, because we never know what is going to be the most important thing for audience, for people to click on ads. So it might be you start with company name, and then goes your location, and then description is talking about your 20 years of experience. That might be, and we will see that over time, the kind of a winning ad, the winning combination. But it might be that people really don't mind much about your company name. The most important thing is, and that will be in the title, saying we've got 20 years of experience. And then in the body of the ad, you're saying we are friendly and we can deliver next day, for example. So we can make assumptions, and we do make assumptions, but yet still the life is going to verify what works, what doesn't. And we've got plenty of statistics to see what does work, what does not. Because, for example, if the ad is getting clicked many times, but I'm not sure if you can see that on the screen, but one of these columns here is called bounce rate. That means that someone clicked the ad, went to the website, but left quite quickly. On that occasion where we don't want this kind of ads at all. So seeing those data, we will make decisions and we will stop certain ads completely, or we will put more money on the ads which are working well. So the kind of A/B testing on this occasion is absolutely crucial. So one ad and one option only. Well, you've got, of course, a chance to be right first time, but I think, and from my experience, it is almost unreasonable to assume that that's the good strategy. This is not. You need to have few things to compare and then pick up the best. I think I'm going to go very quickly through this slide because I've mentioned a couple of times on the previous slide about those extensions, those extra elements that can be added to ads to make them simply more prominent and also allow people to, for example, make a phone call straight from the ad. One thing which I'm not going to skip is conversions, because this whole system is quite automated, and the fact that actually it's automated can be used in your business in a certain way, which is going to save you time, and the system is going to also help you make better decisions. So let's say I'm going to set up campaign as a successful only under certain conditions. So one condition is the inquiry form has been filled on the website and someone sent this inquiry to a client. That's the one condition. Our second condition, we've got a phone call through the ad. So those things I will consider as conversions. So the ad worked exactly the way we wanted. And when we set up those conversions, then it's so much easier to simply track, okay, so what has happened on the way to get this phone call? And that can be through this system, through this Google AdWords system, that can be tracked quite precisely. So obviously we are going to have more of it. We are going to put more money on the things that ended up in conversions. And because the system is automated, we can simply just from the very beginning, just tell this Google machine learning, which is actually supporting this whole system, to do whatever it takes to get this final conversion. But obviously, you need to tell the system what the conversion is in the first place. Right. This is a case study, so maybe you can relax a bit more. This is going to be just a story. This is a story about David and Goliath. It's not that brutal in the end. So 3B Higher are not trying to kill anybody. They are trying to compete. Ross and his dad, who are running a garage initially in Haddenham near Aylesbury, they started business. They started converting this garage business into vehicle hire company. Well, as you can possibly imagine, having a couple of cars and few vans in a yard, and knowing that, for example, in Aylesbury, in High Wycombe, in Thame, you've got Enterprise, Eurocup, Hertz, Sixt, that this is overwhelming mega companies with a huge budgets, with many sites in many countries. So I've met Ross 7 years ago now, and then his dad was thinking about getting retired, and Ross was very eager to, well, make this whole dad's business a success. So we started working, but this kind of a statistics which he ran through were kind of overwhelming. Then when I started helping him with setting up website and setting up this Google AdWords campaign, I found even more competitors, because not only the big companies were on the market already, there was actually quite a few local small companies which it happened that they did have exactly the same idea about setting up a vehicle hire business as Ross. So as you can see on the map, there are not only the big companies, there is a plenty of small businesses as well in the area. Sorry. Right, so we decided that actually the way to move forward was first create new websites. It was 7 years ago. I've insisted that actually we need to absolutely have a website that is going to work quite well on the mobile phones as well. While I was even planning to build this website, this Google AdWords campaign was also agreed. So we built the website not only to be mobile friendly, but also to be ready for the traffic from paid advertising. That was to have a kind of a quick win and chance to start getting orders. At the same time, as a kind of a third part of this puzzle, we set up the website also in this kind of a way to have the best chance at being featured organically, which means without paying for vehicle hire, van hire in the local area. So we did all those things in the one kind of a setting. So it wasn't like okay, let's just set up a website. All right, and now let's add a Google Ads campaign. Okay, maybe just do a few things at the different dates, because then it's very unlikely, especially if you've got multiple suppliers, it's very unlikely going to work towards this kind of a mutual goals. I'm not saying that you need to have one supplier, but I would say you need to be very likely as a business owner, this person who is going to kind of understand the system and have this kind of a final saying on the strategy. And the strategy can be then executed by suppliers. So that is the 2014 website that we've published. So all the different services were in kind of a compartments. There were clearly displayed prices. That was the kind of a way to move forward. Each page was designated to have a kind of one objective. There were also landing pages for Google AdWords campaigns set up on this system. So this is the screen print of the ads running, rent a car. Here is Ross and 3B Hire. You see there is a couple of other companies also, of course, in this ads area. We also manage, and this is the long-term kind of a goal, the local SEO we've done for Ross and for 3B Hire. So he was kind of a first on the map in the local area. So all those things work together towards the goal. Now with the 2020, Ross commissioned end of the last year, actually with the support from Bucks Business First grant. He commissioned a new website, and this new website, well, lucky enough, of course, we've proved that we are good at supporting them. They came to us to design and build this website as well and run and keep on running the campaign. But this time we were all about, well, the website is just to make people, to allow the people make bookings, pay online, make reservations, browse through vans. I know it looks very, very simple, but believe me, there is a really quite a lot of stuff going on behind, because now Ross has got 3 sites, over 100 vans, and I know that he's looking for another site in the area to expand his business. So I hope that kind of shows that this strategy of investing online, I don't think that I need to, especially now in the end of the summer 2020, I need to convince anyone that going online and getting things done online and investing in digital is a kind of a way of moving forward, is a way of spending money wisely to promote your business. But at the same time, I think what I wanted to say is simply having this kind of a general idea of how to do it. And possibly it's not because I want to encourage anyone to buy more or just found this one wonderful partner who's going to do everything for you. Of course, if you can, that's great. But I think there is always a need for someone who is going to simply just set up those kind of set up the parameters around the campaigns, about the goals, about what we are going to do, and have this kind of a bird's eye view, and set up the strategy for the whole thing, for the whole campaign, expanding online, to simply just avoid disappointment. This slide is briefly just reassuring that if you are picking up for Google Ads a Google partner, that means quite a lot, because it doesn't happen that actually you've got this badge. Well, someone, now unfortunately I have seen that some companies are just simply having a badge, but they are not on the official register, which is featured on the Google website for partners. So from time to time on the website where you see that we are Google partners, you can click this badge, or you can click the link to it, and it should take you to the website, which is with a Google branding, saying, well, this is a Google partner, and they are specializing in this, that, and another. Because it means that actually, there are people who are trained, and I need to kind of retake the exam every year, because things are changing and changing fast. So those exams needs to be refreshed quite often. We also need to kind of make a turnover with Google, but in return we're getting access to account manager who can help us, can advise us and point us sometimes to some errors, and simply just give us a help. We don't need to kind of find things on the help yourself pages. So that's this direct support from Google. And the kind of a part which I'm not sure if everyone knows, that we are scrutinized, our work is scrutinized. Our ads needs to be of a quality, and the quality doesn't mean that actually we need to spend a lot. No, the ads which are spending a lot, but let's say you got a very high bounce rate, which means that people are finding irrelevant, we will get simply a red card kind of a message from Google if we would run those ads. And if we would run those ads, those kind of low quality ads permanently, well, we will exclude it from the program. So we simply need to kind of score brownie points to make sure that our ads are of a quality. They're not wasting anyone's money, because the worst thing for Google is people saying, well, this whole Google Ads idea, it didn't work for me. Well, this is why they are so rich, because it does work, but of course only if it's set up correctly. Right, very brief. This is an example how we work. However, different companies might work in a different way, but I think what I wanted to say here is, this is kind of like a ballpark figure when it comes to Google Ads. So very often companies might ask you for a contract. It shouldn't be a one-year contract. I think it should be a shorter contract, because you don't want to be necessarily tied in something what might not work for you. Setup fees, that again, that depends. Some companies are charging quite a lot. Some other companies are charging less. It should be that if someone is charging you more for setup fees, they are running, let's say, keywords research, they're running a couple of tests. They can give you simply a prediction, written prediction, and kind of make a commitment. And this is possible, and it does work. I've done it many times before. So if I'm spending enough time to get ready, then I can tell the investor or company director or owner roughly what we are going to get in numbers of leads, number of clicks, how many visits to the website, and estimated number of phone calls. So there will be very likely a setup fee. This is something what we practice. So I can't say for any other companies. If let's say you are spending £400 and this is your advertising budget. That means Google charges my company £400, and I'm putting £100 on the top of that, and this is the bill which is going to be sent on the end of the month to our client. So we simply just put 20% on the top of the invoice that we are receiving from Google. And within this 20%, what you are getting a monthly management. You are getting all those things which I was telling you before. So every month I will go to our account and I will check actually what is happening there, what did work, what didn't. I will make those reiteration to have this A/B testing running, and in the end I will send a report. Which again, all those things are happening manually, of course, with the support of many tools which are there, but there is not, the campaigns are not running on autopilot. Right, I think I've mentioned that. No, the monthly budget is divided into a daily budget. So, not sure if I did. Right, if you are setting up a budget for a month, this monthly budget is divided by every day, because simply, as you can imagine, the monthly budget can be spent in the first 2 or 3 days, and then the rest of the month your ads might not appear, because simply the designed budget, designated budget, would be spent. There's also something which I think I forgot, and I'm sorry about that. That's quite important, actually. The budget is set for a month. It will never go over a certain preset amount. So there is no chance that someone's ads are so successful they are clicked 10,000 times in a month, and you are going to end up with some enormous bill in the end of the month. This is not possible. The budgets are capped per month, so you know, and we know that we'll never go over a certain amount of money per month. But to reassure this kind of equal spread, those budgets will be divided into a daily budget. End of the month, we are sending a report, which is kind of a summing up clicks, costs, conversions, and so on. And this is also part of the deal. I will run quickly through that. I think we've got just over 10 minutes left. This is what we do to earn our money during the activity. This is what we do to as ads managers. We're optimizing the campaign. We're adding negative keywords. The negative keywords are the kind of the things which we will set up to make sure that the ads will never appear. Like, for example, a word free. Very often, even without knowing what could be the good negative keywords, I'm adding simply a word free as a negative keyword. Because if someone is looking for, let's say, free solicitor's advice, maybe this is your strategy, but on many occasions, this is not a strategy for a company to offer something free of charge and pay for it in the first place. Checking up the behavior of ads, but also simply just on a monthly basis, we are looking for opportunities, because there are sometimes things which becomes apparent. And if we've got this kind of a monthly conversation, me debriefing, and maybe client coming back to us, we talk and we are finding opportunities. And then from this kind of a data which I see in the Google Ads, I can come up with simply sometimes even a completely new idea, because I see that something becomes very expensive. So I might say, well, maybe we should stop for a little while, because someone is trying to make an effort, some other competitors. Or on some other occasion, I might say, well, look, there is a kind of a new thing. Quite often people are asking, and I know that you offer this, maybe we can start a kind of a slightly new campaign, even without increasing the budget, because the budget can be very easily moved from one campaign to another. I'm nearly there. This is an example of a kind of a quite sophisticated custom-made a measuring tool which we can set up, and this is set up for one particular company. So company directors at any point, instead of just going and seeing all those data, they just go and see only the things that they want to see. You can this whole thing is linked with Google Ads, and it displays in the real time and can be displayed in the a quarterly based, monthly based, a daily based, and so on. So kind of like one place for us delivering reports. Right. This is the last thing. I will go through this quickly, but please, if there is if you've got some energy still, please stay with me, because this is the kind of like an example. Sorry, can we go back? Right. If you could just imagine that you're selling a product and the product costs £200. To create that product, it costs you £100. You need to sell. Sorry, you need 2 inquiries to sell 1 unit. And also from the data, you can tell that 10 visitors to your website, quality visitors to your website, are going to generate roughly 1 inquiry. Those data can be picked up from most of the websites. If you've got Google Analytics on your website, then you can get those data and compare with your sales data, and you can see this kind of links and arrangements. Right, so you're coming to a conclusion that you need roughly about 20 visitors to sell 1 unit. It costs you £1 to get 1 visitor. So simply you need £20 to sell 1 unit. Your return on investment, this is how much money you are making divided by how much money it costs you, product plus advertising, is a 66%, which means it translates into simply £1 put in the Google Ads is giving you £4 in profit. I'm not saying that this is always the case and this is the only way how we operate with our clients, but at the same time, if there is a chance that you as a business owner, you can run this kind of a calculation based in a data that you've got, this is the recipe for success. There is a very unlikely going to be a disappointment, because those things are very predictable, well documented, and this is why we're doing it, because it's simply a reliable tool for businesses to advance online, get more clients, more inquiries, and I think that's all from me. So thank you.
If you move to the next slide, it's got
Right.
contact details.
So I would like to say thank you very much for your participation today. I will go back to Maxine. I don't know if we've got time for Q&As. If we do, I would be very happy, me and Catherine would be very happy to answer your questions.